call the roll?
Allen.
Present.
Auger. Guerrero.
Here.
Davis. Castro.
Here.
Davis. Donahue.
Yes.
Ford.
Here.
Cross. Here. Gillum.
Here.
Heyman.
Here.
O'Shea.
Here.
Kenyon.
Here.
Zari.
Here.
Lush.
Here.
Lewis. Molina.
Present.
Holly. Jeffro.
Here.
Silva. Smith.
Here.
Sterrett. Taylor. Vasquez.
Here.
Wadecki.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. I'd like to ask Tony Heiler, who is with Father David Peck, to come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tony. Good job. Father David Peck from St. John Newman and St. Joseph will lead us in prayer.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Just a quick note, when I was 13 years old, I left Aurora, Illinois, to come here to high school. So I'm the last class, 1972 is when I was here in this area, where we lived here in this building. And so that was the last time I officially prayed here, 43 years ago.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm also the police and fire chaplain for St. Charles. We bow our heads remembering that we are in God's presence. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, whose goodness fills our hearts with joy. Blessed are you who have brought us here together at this Kane County Board meeting to work in harmony and peace. Strengthen us and our nation with your grace and wisdom, for you are God forever and ever. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Tony, very much. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the June 10th, 2014 meeting? Moved by Mr. Vasquez, seconded by Mr. Lazard. Are there any thoughts, comments, changes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Today, we're going to save some time in the presentation and discussions. Don Biggs is homesick yesterday and today, but what he wanted to share with the board today is that we are moving forward to find an expert. We're sending out an RFQ, a request for a qualification for a real estate consultant to help us through the process of the 6th Street School potential sale. So we're working as a good partner with our friends at the Geneva Library. It's possible we'll still come to some kind of arrangement there, but we're looking at various options, and we're going to bring in an expert to help us. So, no thoughts? If there are no thoughts, then we'll go on to the next. Chairman Short program, we'll hold off on that until later. Do we have any speakers on agenda items? The answer is no on that. Okay, there are no zoning petitions for today. Okay, and resolutions and ordinances. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Okay, right. Oh, yes, Mr. Shadlow?
14-12 and 14-13.
Okay, could you repeat that, please?
14-12 and 14-13.
14-12 and 14-13. Are there others? Okay. If not, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those two items? Mr. Donahue makes the motion. Ms. Castro seconds. Any discussion before the clerk takes the roll? None.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazari.
Yes.
Lash.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Molina.
Yes.
Sheffro.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Winnicki.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. Now on number 14 to 12, may I have a motion and a second to approve verse number 14 to 12? Moved by Ms. Allen, second by Ms. Robinski. Then I think Mr. Sheffield.
I just make the same comment on either similar related resolutions. The union contracts that we're approving are here to be approved, provide for a 14.8% increase over a 4-year period of time. In my opinion, that's too much of an increase. It's higher than the other unions we see. The highest paid employees in this department are receiving a 12% increase over 2 years. And I think that's higher than necessary and higher than other departments. It's also retroactive. And so for that reason, it's 12 resolutions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sheffield. Any other thoughts, comments? Ms. Allen?
I'd just like to talk to this policies. This is what we do here. I think it's reasonable that we have a year where our revenues are more than we budget for. And we take that extra $3 million and we put $1 million into a special fund so we don't have to raise taxes. We put $1 million into capital funds so we can do projects. And it seems to me that it would be fair to say to our employees, we took in more money than we expected, we're going to be able to give some raises, spread some raises around town. And I'm really grateful to you, Mr. Chairman, for saying when we work our union contracts that we also consider the non-union people, because in our experience, our non-union people that have borne that burden for many years when they didn't get raises, the union folks did. Now, the next step, I'm hoping, is that as we do our budgets, we can say we have this extra money, and so we're going to work into our budgets, money for our employees, and try and do it with some parity. And my only criticism here is we try to value our people. We don't want to lose expertise. We don't want to lose people who worked faithfully for us for many years. But I'd just like to see a holistic picture as much as we can, where we say, here are the salaries that we are working towards, and here's how we'll phase them in over our next few budget years to try and have some parity throughout. That's my hope for the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Allen. I appreciate that. Ms. Castro?
Mr. Chairman, I think there's some confusion here about what has been done as far as these two contracts. I would actually like that. Judge Braca actually gave a very good explanation in executive, and I would like if she would mind explaining, they're saying it's a 12% salary increase. Actually, it's and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Judge Braca, you were trying to bring some folks in line as we did with the state's attorney for 2 years. Is that correct?
Well, Chief Judge, would you like to address that, or Ms. Castro, would you want to take the pieces that you heard in executive committee, the things that registered the most with you, and then share them with the, rather than having another committee meeting and then executive meeting at the board?
Yes. Well,
I think it was a very, very interesting discussion.
It was.
It is a very complicated
And
area.
I understand not everyone's on executive, so they probably did not hear it. So the breakdown was that part of this is not a 12% salary, because some folks in a study were not, being compared to other counties, were not being compensated properly. So as we had done with the state's attorney, she has budgeted that for 2 years to help hopefully bring them at the minimum, starting with The other thing was, and Mr. Hoshak had explained this very well, we are part of some negotiation with some of the unions. This union contract is at the sole purview of the chief judge. And, you know, I have a lot of faith in the chief judge. She understands her budget and knows what she can and cannot do. And that's why I'm very supportive of this. And I hear what you're saying, but we looked at this with the state's attorney, and we budgeted it. She's also looked at this and it's properly budgeted. So I understand that, but I thought the explanation given at exec, and I know you were there at exec, was actually a very good explanation.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsler. Interesting that Mr. Sheffield spoke against, Ms. Allen spoke in favor. He provided some of the background that's come before. Only in the fables and fairy tales are there stories about Goldilocks. But if we can, in our compensation policy, come to the median, that would be a good common ground where there's not total satisfaction anywhere, but we can see the thought and the work that went in, and the perspectives that are shared and the consensus that's derived. It is going to be a very tough thing. We're going through the initial budgets. I am so grateful to all the elected officials, to the department heads, to the people who negotiated our contract, to the unions that represent the people who work here, the 1,250 people, both union, and then all the folks who are non-union. And I'm grateful that we have 4 years of these contracts, in the most part. We still have a couple of the contracts that are still in the process of being negotiated. But when we take a look at the impact of even small changes on compensation, it does, we want to be in the spirit of Ms. Allen is bringing today, but we also have the practical constraints that Mr. Sheffield is bringing forward. I'm starting to keep a tally of the really big pieces that are going to be very hard to figure out in this year's budget. There are some whoppers. On a plane trip last night, I found another whopper in the CAFR report, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, where there's an area that we haven't addressed yet as a board, which is the other than pension employee benefits. That's, for instance, long-term health care for retired employees, where just like there's an unfunded liability for pensions, there's also a residual obligation that the county will have that's not funded. And I'm familiar that states don't fund it, local governments don't fund it, but people who are thinking about, well, you got an obligation out there, better to save for it. And the point is that we're going to have a lot of expenses coming at us. And so it is important that we come to a middle ground. Words of wisdom, Mr. Kane.
Well, I go back a long way, and I remember when our sheriff's department they were always underpaid. So what we did was we took all these bright young people and we trained them to be law enforcement, and everybody took them away. Until we finally figured out you have to pay these people. We're doing it with the state's attorney's office and the public defender's office. If you don't pay them, they won't stay. And one of the beauties about money that you give to employees, they spend it at Kane County. It goes to grocery stores, to schools, it goes to everything, and it makes more money for us. It makes us a better place to live. So we have to keep up. We have to pay people what they're worth.
That is the reality. So, other thoughts, Mr. Donahue?
Okay, so we froze the property tax again for fiscal year 14, and I thought of all this is the component of this that affects the fiscal year 14 budget influence that. And from the rhetoric I've listened to the last few months around here, it sounds like everybody's inclined to freeze the property tax again in 2015. And so my assumption is that the component of this that affects 2015 will not affect that. And so if we're able to maintain property tax reads 2014, 2015, presumably beyond, and bring the people, the key staff up to a minimally acceptable level, then I think that's a sort of a win-win for the taxpayer and for the staff involved. If we were talking about union contracts and budget busters and we had to go back and raise additional revenues to pay for this, then that would be a highly problematic scenario, I think, for all of us. But I understand it's not having a significant impact on the 14 tax levy. It's not going to have significant impact on the 15 tax levy. That's the basis upon which I'm supporting the program.
That makes perfect sense, and you're right, that one of the fundamental foundational assumptions on the 2015 budget is the continuation of a frozen property tax levy. It is very hard. I mean, just look at taxing agencies around us, look at state and federal government. It is a very tough challenge, but it's one that I think has been met very well by this board. So, Mr. O'Shea, did you have a question? You started leaning forward. No.
I don't want to belabor the point. I think, the problem with the way we discuss issues at this meeting is we don't get the depth of discussion in committee. I would just comment that I respect both Mr. Sheffield and Ms. Allen's comments, but I do want to point out that with respect to Mr. Sheffield's comments, that there were a lot of other issues that the committee took into account, including the issue of parity of salaries and the fact that we would lose people. There's also a change in work hours and work rules for some of the individuals that would justify additional compensation. One comment that Ms. Allen made that I just want to clarify, and that is this is not a situation where the county has additional revenue that we're looking to spend. I mean, as a practical matter, with respect to any additional revenues we receive, we either use that to pay down pension liability or create reserves for capital projects, so that we took a conscious decision not to put that into our operation fund. So voting for this is not voting to spend extra money that we have. It's really, we're going to build this into our operations budget, and in future years, if we keep the levy freeze, we're going to have to cut expenditures somewhere else, and that's where we're getting into the discussion of prioritization.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, that was my point, John. Ultimately, we're going to have to have some long-term liability by doing this. So when we have to start really seriously looking at our levies and needing additional dollars to pay for these obligations and equipment, have we studied that and we know when that's going to take place?
That is why we're doing 5-year planning now that has been initiated on this board or by this board. We have planned out the 5 years. It gets very difficult in the 4th and 5th year, especially according to our finance officer's projections, to maintain that. But there's also a lot of things that we can do together as a board, whether it's generating non-property tax revenue, whether it's bringing in grant money, whether it's efficiencies. For instance, the court case management system that a whole lot of good people are working on. We need to start to take a look at how that makes our work not only better, but more efficient, meaning same value or better value for less dollars. There are savings in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in that area, although we're placing an investment up front. So to answer your question, when does it look like we're going to have that? We take each year as it comes at us. Right now, we are working on that 2015 to make sure that we live within our means without a property tax levy increase. We do have an indication farther out in the distance where it's not quite as clear in vision because it's just so far out. But in the 4th and 5th year out, it's hard. I don't think that all of us have answers yet on how we're going to handle it for 5 years out. But we hope next year, and then we're starting to try to put in place things in the 2nd and 3rd year out to maintain, but that's not a promise.
It was just cautious, because, you know, we can't continue to do this always and expect the money to be there. And so eventually we're going to hit that crossroad and trying to figure out when that might be. Probably better to start thinking about that, you know, I guess what we do this year, next year, or whatever. But, you know, I am supportive of this, I'm just very concerned about the future. And anytime we continue to, you know, raise salaries, it means, you know, insurance, it means, you know, pensions and everything else. So it's not just the 1 year, it's long-term commitment here. So just make sure that we understand that and be serious instead of looking at the future.
Thank you. Other thoughts? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I wish to respond to Mrs. Allen's statement, but Mr. Walsh, explained
Thank you. Ms. Wojnicki?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think our main focus right now is approving the 2 collective bargaining agreements. And even though I think you're bringing up excellent points, Jesse, I think our focus is for these union agreements. And I just wanted to say that having served on this board for several years, our chief judge, Judy Braga, is extremely engaged in her department and department heads and her employees. And I faithfully trust that in her negotiations, she has made the right decisions. So I definitely support this.
Thank you, Ms. Wojnicki, and thank you very much for bringing us back to the focus on what's at hand. So with that, I think that's a good summary. We have a motion and a second. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on 14-212.
Allen.
Aye.
Burial.
Yes.
Castro.
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Fries.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Damon.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarian.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Molina.
Yes.
Jeffro.
No.
Smith.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Taylor.
Okay,
Wojnicki, yes.
I'm sorry, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
okay, the motion passes. May I have a motion and a second on 14-213? Moved by Mr. Hammond, second by Ms. Kessler. Any further thoughts? It's the same issue as we had on the previous. Any other? Okay, if not, clerk can call the roll.
Allen.
Aye.
Vera.
Yes.
Castro.
Yes.
Donahue.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Fries.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Damon.
Yes.
O'Shea.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarian.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Molina.
Yes.
Jeffro.
No.
Smith.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Ms. Benet.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda, we have various appointments. On the Judicial and Public Safety Strategic Planning and Technology Commission, it's not a statutory requirement, and it doesn't require the advice and consent, but I would like to ask the board to support the nominations and appointments that are being made. First of all, John Barsanti was appointed by the Chief Judge to fill the judge position on this, and then replacing retired Judge Brown. And then Judge Brown is being appointed to fill the attorney at large spot. And then Mark Davis is being appointed to fill an additional county board member spot. And these are appointments that I'm allowed to make. But if I could have a motion to approve those appointments. Mr. Kenyon, moved. Second by, Mr. Wojnicki as chairman of the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, seconds the motion. Any discussions? I'm very excited about the work that's being done in that commission, the leadership that's been provided by Judge Brown, and he'll continue to be the chairman of that group, just serving in a different appointed position. There's a lot of work still ahead. So any other thoughts? If, Mr. Smith?
All three people, I know personally, are all extremely well qualified.
And they all have that background, so thank you, sir. With that, all right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of these nominations and appointments, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, Mill Creek Special Services Area Advisory Body. May I have a motion and a second to approve the appointments who are Jeff Dankelson is replacing Mark Ruby in a term that expires July 2017. And then Baron H. Studeman is going to be replacing Pamela Poole, and the term expires July 2017 also. Mr. Franz makes that motion, seconded by Mr. Ford. Any thoughts, conversation?
Mr. Chairman, as the board knows, Mill Creek is the largest unincorporated neighborhood in Kane. As it's unincorporated, the county board oversees the maintenance of many things. We have an SSA tax there, and an SSA advisory board to oversee maintenance issues. We have neighborhood representatives that sit on that board. They oversee a budget of about $800,000. So we had a couple of openings. Jeff Dankelson, he and his wife are very active in the community. He has a background in building management, so he has experience with letting contracts and so forth for maintenance. And Barry Studeman has an extensive background in environmental issues as far as environmental restoration, prairie plants, and that sort of thing. We do a lot of that out in Mill Creek. So I've interviewed them both, and I highly recommend.
And thank you very much for bringing them forward, Mr. President. Any other thoughts, comments? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen? Guerrero?
Yes.
Castro?
Yes.
Donahue? Yes. Ford?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazari?
Yes.
Lash?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Molina?
Yes.
Jeffro?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Esquez?
Yes.
Disconnected.
Yes.
The motion passes. Okay, now, we do have a need today to go into executive session, so may I have a motion and a second to go into executive session? Moved by Mr. Lazar, second by Mr. Heyman. And this is to discuss settlement of the claim, potential litigation, or personnel. Would the clerk please call the roll? We have a motion and a second.
Allen? Guerrero? Castro?
Yes.
Donahue? Yes. Ford?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazari?
Yes.
Lash?
Yes.
Lewis? Yes. Molina? Jeffro? Smith? Esquez?
Okay, the motion passes. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 14229. Motion made by Ms. Allen, second by Mr. Heyman. And I'd like to, any discussion? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen?
Aye.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Castro?
Yes.
Donahue? Yes. Ford?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazari?
Yes.
Lash?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Molina? Jeffro?
Yeah.
Smith?
Yes.
Esquez? Ricky?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Let's see, do we have any speakers on non-agenda items? If not, then are there any other thoughts to be shared with the...
Mr. Jones, my thought is that I want to push the Kane County Fair on the 16th to the 20th. another good opportunity to enjoy our local residents and the things that the young people and the older people do. And it's a darn good time.
It's amazing. You walk through either some of the livestock or some of the trade.
You can buy a trade there too.
Mr. Smith?
I'd like to advise the agricultural committee meeting, the next one was canceled, maybe we can designate it.
Ms. Ferraro?
I'd like to remind everybody that we have our MRP, our mortgage relief project, coming up this Saturday at the Bristol Center and Aurora, 9-1. Please let all your constituents know this is really important. My mic's not on. Did you guys all get that? I want to make sure that we have a lot of representatives there also. It was important for us as a county to have our representatives at our events. And this foreclosure task force and mortgage relief project is very important, passionate to me to help the community. We have one in Elgin, and it brought over 100 families there to refi their mortgages, to remodify them. I'm hoping to see more than that in Aurora. And I also appreciate everybody working hard on it. And I think just get the word out, because we really need to save more houses in Kane County.
Thank you, Ms. Ferraro. Any other thoughts, Mr. Lewis?
Just a reminder, we have approved the resolution that the barbecue contest is going to occur this weekend, as endorsed by Kane County through the Ag Committee as the annual Kane County barbecue contest. So that's going to be going on at about 38 Randall Road this weekend. So where everyone is interested in barbecue, nice, good food. Encourage you to participate.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. If there are no other, Ms. Allen?
Just a tiny piece of irony that was pointed out by one of my colleagues, that in today's agenda, we approved a couple of resolutions where we asked vendors to hold their prices at last year's level. We asked our purchasing department to do that for us, to hold the prices that we pay people down. I don't know if that affects job creation, that they can't hire additional people, but they want our business enough that they're going to hold the prices at last year's levels. And yet at the same time, we're bringing in salaries. So we are comfortable increasing salaries, but we are watching our vendors very carefully. I see some irony.
They get in trouble all the time.
Other thoughts? Comments? If not, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hager, second by Mr. Kenyon. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
I think it's